Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call this 96th meeting of the Jacksonville Tourism Development Authority. Welcome everyone in attendance and online. First motion is to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the next thing, we will approve the minutes of March 8th, 2024. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Great. So we get to move on to item number 1, our reason to be. To talk about the FY 24-25 budget and have our public hearing and possible adoption. And with that, we'll turn it over to Mr. Prince.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and members of the board. We appreciate you being here to spend time with us on behalf of the Tourism Development Authority. As Mr. Thomas said, it's that time of the year. And so in order to keep doing what we do, we have to adopt a budget. In March, we presented to you a draft spending plan that included all the significant components of the budget ordinance that I'm going to show you here in just a minute, but it also provided some advanced detail on what we wanted to spend some of those general pots of money on, the things that we want to accomplish, etc. So following that meeting, and of course leading up to this one, our wonderful clerk was able to have the budget advertised and posted as required by general statute. And as far as I know, we didn't receive any public feedback.
No, sir.
So again, like Mr. Thomas said, we're hoping to conduct the public hearing and then possibly adopt the budget. So looking at revenue by source, good news is occupancy tax continues to increase. And again, that 1.25 million is a conservative estimate. We've been through that several times, but it's a higher estimate, but a conservative estimate based upon recent collections. And then because of the great work of our finance department, we've seen a significant increase in the investment earnings from last year to this year. And from prior year to last year, it was a very significant increase. Appropriated fund balance is the same percentage-wise, but it's a little bit less dollar-wise because we've been able to draw down the promotions fund balance a little bit from our work last year. Then, of course, on the expenditure side, and Mr. Thomas, you can check our math on this to make sure we do balance, but I feel confident in Sabrina here. From the administration side, those are fixed costs that we have to basically operate the organization, insurance, audit costs, et cetera. But then general statute breaks down the tourism promotion and the tourism-related amounts accordingly. So again, these are the major components of our budget ordinance. You're very familiar with the spending plan that we'll talk about here in just a few minutes, but the budget ordinance is what needs to be adopted prior to July 1st for us to maintain compliance. Mr. Chairman, if you would, I believe it's appropriate to begin the public hearing, and then we'll talk about possible adoption after the public hearing.
Okay, we'll recess the regular meeting and open up the public hearing. Wait for anyone to possibly speak. No one taking. We'll close the public hearing and resume the meeting. So, directors, we're presented with the budget. We talked about it a lot. I think everybody has a good understanding. Appreciate the effort and clarity provided over the past year, and we'll look for a motion to adopt the budget.
I move that we adopt the budget as presented to us and outlined just a few moments ago.
Second.
Second? Okay, we got a motion and a second, and all in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Glad to have a budget again. We'll make it another year.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're going to move on to get a little deeper into it and talk about our spending plan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is, again, part of our presentation from last month. We are going to regurgitate it a little bit just to refresh everyone's memory and, of course, to inform anyone who's watching on TV. But the spending plan is a more detailed budget that we take from the basic funding categories that are included in the budget ordinance. And of course, as you're also familiar, this is included in your agenda package. It's the basically the spreadsheet-looking document with all the columns of figures with the green highlights on it. The good news here is that hopefully our math balances again. So the revenue sources should be identical to what's in the budget ordinance, which we feel that it is. Expenditures the same, okay? But then when we dive down into some more of the detailed categories, there are certain things that we would like to accomplish in the coming year. I know Alexis would like to remain employed, and we would like to employ her. So she's done a pretty good job over the past year. The tourism coordinator position is part of the spending plan. We're looking at 11 events to this point, but some of the green highlights that I mentioned there are other events that we're still looking at that we need more information on before making a final determination. Really like to see the number of events that we're promoting go up, because that means there's more activity going on out there. As you recall, we've talked about focusing more on our outdoor amenities. And so there's money included in the spending plan to enhance our trails as well as our blueways. This is mainly related to signage improvements to help wayfinding and navigating for people who are not familiar with those trails. But then we're also looking at creating a mobile application for people to be able to bring it up on their smartphone and navigate that way too. And then last on the list here, Commons digital signs. We've been working on these for years behind the scenes, and this year is the point where they've risen up on the priority list. We've got concept designs ready to move forward. The intent here is to basically demarcate where the Commons is, because the old sign that was there before no longer exists, and then also to be able to promote things that are going on. You know, with the digital capability, you have the opportunity to put in rolling messages to say, hey, ECI is this weekend, or whatever event's going on at the time. We're also looking to purchase a mobile stage, which is one of the coolest things I've seen in a long time. It's basically a transformer on a trailer. You push a button, it unfolds, and then you've got a very professional stage. The intent here is to have that capability locally so that we don't have to rent the equipment anymore. That drives down our costs, but then this is also a much more safe platform, and it also has expanded capability with lights, etc. We want to be able to offer this to all the city events, but then also some of the events that we promote as well, because that helps to drive down their overhead and to reinvest the money that they would have to spend on rentals into other things. Then, of course, we've talked about the digital kiosk. You see these in a lot of other destinations, and this is something that we're really, I would say, just trying to catch up on. So these are some of the examples, and of course it's got the old logo on it, but we're looking to purchase a large kiosk to put in the airport and a smaller kiosk to put in City Hall here or Jacksonville Station, wherever we feel is best. It allows visitors to come in, see what's happening during the time that they're going to be there, other points of interest. They can create itineraries, make hotel reservations, etc. And as part of the contract on purchasing these, we would be able to create a digital application, a mobile application to go on your smartphone just for Visit Jacksonville. So it's really just a 21st century investment, as a tourism destination. One new bit of information here is that we may end up partnering with Onslow County Tourism on this. They said that they possibly have some money available. Don't know what that partnership would look like yet, but I think we can all agree if we have all that information in one location, it's best served for the visitor. So again, in summary, the revenue and the expenditures balance. It also matches the budget ordinance. So respectfully, we'd appreciate a consideration of approval here, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have regarding the line items themselves or the spending plan in general.
So remind me again, the location of the signage, we're talking about the digital, or
The digital signs at the Commons.
right.
So one of them would be on Recreation Loop, essentially right in front of the facility. And then the other one would be on Commons Drive. You know where the parking lot is or the park and ride lot is and how that driveway comes out to Commons Drive? It would be right there in an area that was reserved for either artwork or this type of signage. So essentially at the driveways to the recreation facility itself.
I know there was, for a while, there was a talk of a western location, but
This
that's
is
a little
not.
too busy.
That is, the research on that indicated that it was somewhat unattainable, or maybe cost prohibitive is a good way to describe it. But these are just on the Commons property itself, right at the recreation center. Much, much, much lower cost too, by the way.
Anyone else got some questions about the spending plan? Well, I guess that's the benefit of the working through it over the weeks and months that we've spent working on it and stuff. That's great. Well, it looks good to me, and I'll go ahead and ask for a motion to approve the spending plan.
I'll make a motion to approve the spending plan.
Second.
Okay, motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we got the spending plan approved. Very good. Now, that we approve the new one, we'll modify the old one here, I guess. Okay. Agenda item. Okay. Number 3, the spending plan modification for 23-24.
Yes, sir.
That we're in.
This is the last time we're going to talk about budget or spending. How about that? At least for this meeting.
Today.
Today,
Yeah.
yes, we will always talk about that in the future, but,
You had me worried there for a minute.
well, there you go. If we didn't talk about spending, what would we talk about? So as far as the 24 spending plan goes, of course, this is our last opportunity to make a modification because that fiscal year will end the end of June and we don't have another meeting until July. There is one request before you, and that is to reappropriate funds from the tourism-related unobligated amount, if I said that correctly, to purchase a tent to assist with some of our outdoor events. Also, some of our indoor events to provide some expanded covered space. What you see here, that's of course not it, but it's very similar to what we would like to purchase. And the reason that we're asking for this modification, initially we were planning to purchase this in fiscal '25, and it is in the spending plan here, so eventually we're going to have to modify that. But by purchasing it now, we should be able to have it on the ground and ready to go for events that happen this summer, like ECI and others where we do need the coverage and we need the space. The 20,000 gets us a tent that's about 40 feet by 50 feet. Also has the walls that allow us to climate control the tent to a certain degree. And then the 20,000 also gets us a replacement canopy for an existing tent that the city has that really just needs to be repaired. So the canopy on that is worn out, but we would purchase another one to get us up to 2 tents of different sizes to be used for whatever purpose is appropriate. And again, this would go to support city events. It would also go to support TDA-sponsored events as well.
Who's going to put that together when it's time? Is that Mike?
It will not be me.
Okay.
It'll be
This
our,
board right here. That's
we're looking for volunteers, so, anybody who's interested. But,
Yeah, I think so.
From what I understand, it's a very interesting process, and there's jacks and hydraulics involved in it. But to answer the question, Parks Department would install that.
In Ken's day, they used elephants.
Did they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I was.
It looks like a circus tent,
Yeah, that
doesn't
was
it?
the
So I
first
say,
thing.
when he was in circus?
Yeah, that's the first thing came to his mind when he saw this. He said, boy, I'd like to wish I had my elephants still.
Well, I thought we still had, the city doesn't have the elephants anymore? What y'all do with them? I do have a question, though, and kind of related to that. We're going to purchase the stage, we're going to purchase the tent. Where are they going to be permanently located and under what conditions? In other words, are they going to be safe from vandalism or anything? And I'm a little bit, I'm not concerned, but I do have a question on, look, I can remember my working days and we were always looking for space to store something. And these things are large items, expensive items. So do we have a plan? Do we have a location?
I can answer for the trailer,
Yeah.
but maybe Susan would be more qualified to answer for the tent itself. Let me go back to it here. So it's essentially self-contained and weatherproof once it's all folded up. So it's really just like a Connex box trailer. I believe the intent is to park it either at public services in an area that's currently unused, or Parks has been able to recently expand their laydown yard pretty extensively, so we would look to park it in one of those two areas. As far as the tent,
We have space that actually would be parked in the back there that the other tenant's being stored at, so that's been identified as well.
Good.
that's the old EMS station? Okay. So
Good.
there you go.
Ask her where she keeps the elephants.
She said they didn't have the elephants
Oh,
in there.
okay, okay.
I'm a little upset about that.
We can add that to the spending plan if
Was
you
it,
like.
do we not have enough peanuts to feed the elephants? I mean, what happened?
I don't know what an elephant runs these days, but
In our budget.
Well, now that we've had a couple of chuckles, I'll make a motion to authorize a budget amendment for, or modification, I should say, for the purchase of this item.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, very good. Got that taken care of, yeah. Now, moving right along to our presentation items. Today, we're going to hear from the Onslow Hispanic Latino Association, Hola, Summer Latin Festival update. We're so glad to see y'all.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the board. My name is Cristina Fernandez. I'm the president of the Onslow Hispanic Latino Association. And we're here to talk to you today about our event, the Summer Latin Fiesta. This will be the second year we have it in the city of Jacksonville. And
We want to make sure we get the slide up
Sorry.
here for you guys. All right.
so last year's event was well attended. I hope that you'll be able to come and join us this year. It'll be held July 27th at the Commons Recreation Center. Last year, the Marine Corps Band opened up for us, and they rocked the house. They did an amazing job. They put together some appropriate music for the event, and it was just amazing. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's it.
So we are a resource and a partner for the local Hispanic and Latino community, agencies, and local businesses. We understand that by working together, we can reach this community effectively and directly. Our association was founded in 2002 by community leaders from various organizations such as the police department, the health department, and they came with a vision of providing the local Hispanic and Latino association or community with opportunities to access support and educational resources to improve their lives. It obtained its 501c3 status as a nonprofit organization in 2004. And over the years, through a pandemic, unfortunately, our organization had gone inactive. But in the past 2 years, we've worked very, very hard to not lose our 501c3 status and continue with our organization. Our organization is 100% volunteer-based, and we currently have about 15 to 20 volunteers that participate regularly. It is an organization that is for the community, by the community. We do not have a physical location yet, a lot in part to lack of funding, but we hope that is something that will change in the future. I'd like to turn it over to my Vice President, Mildred Latino Thomas, who will be talking to you more about our Summer Latin Fiesta.
Hello, I hope you guys can see me. I know I'm short. But yeah, so the festival was something that was a project that I wanted to take on. It was something that the community kept saying they wanted. And partly, in fact, because I don't know if you guys are aware about the Latin Festival history here in Jacksonville and Onslow County, but back in 2013, our organization was the first one to host the very first one out here. So I've got a little snippet from the Daily News that they made that is back from 2013, and we were able to have performers like Sandra Padilla. She's actually from Swansboro, and after our festival, she went on to participate in Univision's La Reina de la Canción. So I don't know if you're familiar with Univision. That is literally the biggest television network in the United States in Spanish. So for us to have someone here locally from our county that participated in our festival, that we supported in our festival, to later on go to do bigger things is important, because like I said, like she mentioned, this is for the community, it's for us, it's for our area here. And one thing about it with the festival is that they tried to do it again a second year, but due to lack of funding, due to volunteers, that was it. It didn't continue. So now that we're in the 2023 and 2024, we did bring that back last year as the Summer Latin Fiesta. Instead of doing it during Hispanic Heritage Month, we moved it to the summer, where the kids are out of school, where a lot of families are looking for activities to do. And last year, it was huge. It was a lot bigger than we really expected. And then this year, we're planning to have it at the Commons again this year. So we'll go talk a little bit more about what the Summer Latin Fiesta is. So proudly, we can now say it is the largest and most diverse festival of Latin American culture in our county. It consists of live music, dance performances, visual and folk art exhibits. We had a lot of educational booths, partly in fact because of the lot of vendors that, you know, weren't sure how to get a lot of the Spanish material to the community, and they did that in part through this festival. We also had a lot of activities for the whole family. This was a family activity. We wanted people to bring even the grandparents, the little ones, everybody. We tried to have something for all. And some highlights from last year is we had a little bit over 40 vendors. We actually ended up with a wait list on vendors because so many people, as this event got bigger, wanted to participate. We had 14 food vendors with various Latin food. Most of them did sell out. Some of them even had to go and get more food because of the magnitude of this event. We had traditional dancing, which is a very broad, what would be the word? Sorry. Category, because you have so many different Latin countries. So we did have a Mexican folklorico group. They did lots of different traditional dancing. And then we had a Puerto Rican group that they did what's called Puerto Rican bomba. Being the two biggest Latin cultures here in Onslow County, we wanted to make sure, especially doing this for the first time, that they were fully represented. We had different genres of music, just as in English, you have so many different, it's the same thing in Spanish. So that was something we wanted to keep a good diversity. And like Christina mentioned, we had the Marine Corps Band perform. I'm sure most of you have probably seen the Marine Corps Band perform at one point or another, whether it's our parade, but they added Latin flavor to that. I'm biased, I love watching the Marine Corps Band, but to see that, it just gave you chills, especially for someone that is from another country, someone that the culture is important to, but so is the Marine Corps, so is the military. That was a very wonderful sight to see. And then, yes, our biggest one highlight is we had about 7,500 attendees.
Ms.
When we
Mildred,
started.
Can I
Yes.
jump in here right quick?
Please.
You will never have seen the Marine Corps band like you saw them then. And for the conductor he had just got in, I think about a month before. Some of the members was like 2 weeks out. A young man who used to play.
Got up.
He came up from Florida, I think.
Yep. He
So
wasn't even in uniform. He
yeah,
wasn't
just-
meant to play,
And they
but he did.
mingled with I mean, it was great. It was
And they
great.
sang in Spanish too.
Yeah.
I mean,
I didn't.
like I said, it was one of those things you had to see it and really experience it because it was different. But yes, with the attendees, we had a lot of people. Christina and I just kept seeing people flowing in. I think we were just running around that we didn't really understand the magnitude until the end where people were like, do you know where I had to park? I'm like, no. And they're like, I had to park all the way at another school in their parking lot. And then as we see videos after this event of people just, showing and highlighting our event is where we actually saw, oh, there was like no parking. People just wanted to be here and they walked to get there because this was something that was obviously important to them. So that for us was very wonderful to see because we thought, as we started, okay, maybe 1,000 people. Then it started getting bigger. Okay, maybe 2,000, maybe 3,000. And to see it have gotten that big was awesome, especially after all the work that goes into that. The other thing we added was a car show, and that's something that's going to stay this year as well. And to be honest, the reason we did it is because as this event was being promoted and it was getting bigger, we were thinking safety and how are we going to spread people out. And that was actually something that people loved. And we've had a lot of people, as we're planning for this upcoming year, ask us, hey, can we get more information? And we've got a lot of people already ready to sign up. So you heard about how our perspective, community feedback was important because we don't see what everybody else saw. Just the same way as we didn't see where everybody was parking at that moment, we wanted to know what the community felt and how this event impacted them. So I've got 2 quotes. I'm going to read them to you because I think they're very important and we didn't ask for them. They just happened. And it's a perspective that I think a lot of people here in the county feel. So one of them was, in the 5 years I've lived here, I've been to fairs, festivals, farmers markets, etc. and I've never seen such a turnout. Every single food truck had dozens of people waiting in line. We had food, cars, vendors, music, and my people dancing. It was hot and we were sweating, but I looked around and this community was loving every second of it. We needed this. I needed this. It has been extremely difficult for me to adjust to life in Onslow with the lack of Latino representation, but today for the first time, I felt seen. I cannot wait to see our Hispanic community continue to grow and represent Onslow County. We are here, my cup is full, and I am so grateful. The other one is a message that I received in Spanish that I translated to English because, again, we didn't ask for them. It was just feedback that the community gave us. And it says, I can't help but congratulate you and thank you for doing this. Never in my 20 years living here in Onslow have I seen something like this. I almost cried to see so many cultures together, and even more so to see how the Marine Corps Band played the national anthem. Wow, I felt such pride to be able to have the same feeling for my 2 homelands. It is something that only we as immigrants feel, and thanks to you, we lived and enjoyed something we had never seen before. Thank you for everything, and we hope for more and more for our community. And I think we both kind of feel very similar to this.
Yeah.
That's why this was so important. And to see the community respond the way it was, it just made it a lot better. But on the serious note, there were suggestions that came with that event last year. One of them being we didn't have outdoor seating. We depended on just the chairs that we were able to get with the rental of the commons, and those were all completely used inside, and they were full. Everybody wanted to see the performance. They loved the Marine Corps Band. I mean, they really started out the show very well. But that is something that a lot of people, they're like, I didn't have a place to really sit. Lack of funding was one of those reasons we couldn't fulfill that last year. And we also just didn't think it was going to be this magnitude. Additional bathrooms is another suggestion we had. We did run into some issues inside, and inside were the only ones we depended on. So a lot of people suggested porta potties outside as well, also so that they don't have to run all the way inside. They have both options. Additional space for vendors. Due to how many people were there, they did crowd up around the vendors. So now we have to look at where can we place vendors, especially when we have so many vendors that want to be a part of this event. Bleachers was another thing. Pretty much seating was, so you can tell, a huge thing. A changing area for our performers. We were limited on space. Everything was ended up getting used. And that was a suggestion from some of our performers, especially because of the high usage of the bathrooms. They really should have had a separate area for them. And our volunteers, we had, I would say, close to 100 Marines that helped us, along with our normal volunteers, and we didn't really have a place for them to eat. We kind of fed them in the concessions area, and, we all just wanted to be a part of it, so it wasn't a big deal. But when an organization is completely 100% volunteer-based, we know that our volunteers need to be treated as they are important, because they are. We don't have any paid staff. They are literally the backbone of everything that we do. So that is something that was brought up from some of our volunteers. Better sound setup. Due to our limited budget, we kind of played with what we could, but we know we do need a bigger professional sound setup, additional parking, and a shuttle service. Especially as they're comparing it to other events, that was some of the feedback we got. And then I will tell you about the improvements we're working on this year, based on the suggestions from last year. Due to how big this is, we do have to have emergency services on site. Last year, we had a first aid tent that some of the Marines volunteered to help us man. But we know with the magnitude of how large this event is, we have to have emergency services on site. Those come with additional expenses. Off-duty police officers, we're going to need more. Those are additional expenses. We're now renting a larger area of the venue. Before, it was just the building and that parking lot area in front. Now we're also renting the festival area, also more expenses. We're looking to possibly rent either a tent and table and chairs for eating, since that was such a big suggestion from last year, and possibly even having bleachers outside. We are doing additional performers, so we do have our main stage inside, but we are doing some extra performers outside, just to keep people entertained as they're sitting, standing in line for the food trucks, maybe looking at the car show. There is additional entertainment for them outside. And then we now do have a room for our volunteers to sit at, and we're hoping to put something in there for our performers to also be able to change and not depend on the bathrooms that everybody else is trying to use. We've been trying to step it up a notch on the marketing. We were able to get our date secured a lot earlier this past year, so that went out on our social media platforms a lot earlier. We create these many small flyers. We purposely worked additional vendor events to pass those out, as well as obviously talk to the community about our organization. And our goal is at least a month out to have those many flyers at about 100 business locations. You are probably already going to see them. We already started that. We've pretty much split up in Concord with our volunteers, and depending on where everybody lives, that's where we're trying to get the flyers out. And more groundwork that we've worked on is we've gone out of our way to other areas in North Carolina to study how these other festivals are being handled. What are they doing? And also to personally speak to performers that maybe we can bring here. Because we don't have that. A lot, even Wilmington, they're bringing a lot of their performers from Raleigh. New Bern really doesn't have a festival of this magnitude yet either. A lot of that Cape Carteret area. So we're having to travel to hopefully get our homework done and bring something good to our community here. On top of also, we've been doing additional volunteer meetings to go over all of this. I know it's a lot of information, but I'm trying to give you guys a good idea of everything that we're working on. But now to this year. So what are we to expect? The vision of how we're going to start this festival this year is we're wanting to do a walking flag parade, and that'll go around the loop of the parking lot right there in front of the building. We're hoping to have people from the community. It'll be a small parade, just carry their flag of where they're from, their culture, maybe where their parents are from, just representing that country, and have them come into the building with the American flag being the last one, and then having the Marine Corps band start the national anthem. One suggestion we got last year, it's when you have so many land countries, so many different cultures, it's hard to represent them all. So we felt that this was the best way to hopefully get everybody, that everybody feels, okay, there's my flag. And that we can get community members to carry those flags in. Performances, again, Marine Corps Band, I hope we never get rid of them because, like I said, that was amazing. We are bringing Sandra Padilla. She's the one that performed at our very first festival, again, from Swansboro. She'll perform this year. We've got Colombian dance group, Honduran dance group, and then the Mexican folklorico group. We've got some others as well, but those are our main ones that we are highlighting right now. Compared to last year, 14 food vendors, we have now 20 food vendor spaces. We have worked hard to try to get, again, a good variety and reach out to food vendors from other areas in the food that we don't have here. We have about 60 vendors. We're going to have vendors inside and outside. Our car show is also going to be bigger, and then we'll also do a cultural booth that has different maybe artifacts or anything about different countries that people can be educated on and learn about when it comes to Latin American culture.
Wow. Well, that was great. I really appreciate the update.
Thank
I've
you.
heard about the event, and I think you're on a phenomenal track for growth. You obviously had your growing pains last year to deal with, but I think you'll be pretty well set for July 27th. I mean, anybody else?
I agree, and I appreciate you taking the time to read that feedback. I mean, because ultimately that's what it's about.
Absolutely. We had people coming from different counties, not only in North Carolina, in South Carolina, Virginia. People came from all over. I'm here for the food trucks, definitely.
Okay,
Yeah,
welcome.
but we were so happy that there was a multitude of, a variety of people coming from all over, and they enjoyed themselves, and they're looking forward to it being an annual event.
Yeah, and I guess the last question I would have for anybody, maybe watching at home that's hearing this the first time, is there any particular link or social channel for additional information?
Yeah, so our Facebook is where most of the information is being pushed out right now, and they can look up the Onslow Hispanic Latino Association, and it'll come right up. It's also got the event on there as a Facebook event, so if they want to put going or interested, that would be wonderful. And then also on our website, we do have specific tabs that honor, like, for example, our sponsors from last year and everybody that helped us, and then we have a tab for this year specifically going over what we're working on.
And would that be the URL for any community members that might be
for
interested
our-
in volunteering?
Yes, and our website is ohlanc.com, so OHLANC.com.
Christina, Mildred, thank you so much. It's exciting, and we appreciate the feedback and appreciate all the work you're doing.
Thank
I
you.
think it's good for tourism.
Thank you so much for your time.
Great,
Thank you.
very informative.
Thank
Thank
you so much.
Realize how much work goes
Yeah,
into those things.
and I'm gonna tell you, we didn't know you all were scrambling around as much as you really were.
Oh, my goodness.
I didn't sleep very well for a month before that.
It came
So-
off very great. It was
Because
very great.
we're volunteers, so
Great.
I have a job as well. And so do many of our volunteers, so it was a lot of effort.
Let me
Makes it
ask-
all the more impressive.
Yeah.
Let me ask the question, you may not know the answer. Do you have any idea how many people spent the night here for the festival?
That, we weren't sure how to track, to be honest. But we do know that we did talk to people that came from other areas and other states. It might be because they were visiting family. I'm not sure. But
How
that
about
is
some of your
something,
performers? I'm sure some of them had to stay overnight.
trying to think which ones may have.
Well, anyway, I would suggest that you try the best you can to track that, because that's part of what information that we need to make some decisions. I'm sure that you have many rooms that you're not aware of that get filled up. And the number is not as important as the fact that they are staying here overnight.
Okay. Yep, that'll be something that we will work hard on, and try to get you that information, especially when we give you guys an update next year.
Because the more rooms, the more money.
Then we will definitely
That we
work
can
on
send your way.
Well, the week of course, we're volunteers, and I just ran out of time, but the week of, I went to all the hotels on Western Boulevard and dropped off little stacks of our flyers, because people come here wanting to know what is there to do around here. And so
Yeah.
we were able to pass out some flyers, and we hope that generated an interest for next year's event, or this year's event.
Now, who paid for your flyers?
Well, I'm a real estate agent, so the Jacksonville Board of Realtors has actually been a very big support for us, and that's how we were able to print our flyers.
Well, just for your information, we have that kind of money. This board does. So, that's something you may want to think about and make an application to us for support on the promotion side of it, for sure. The other things that you brought up are really a concern of the whole community, is board, recreation, everybody. And that is, when we look at what you did and what you want to do, it becomes a space problem. And that really is what you're dealing with right now. You don't have enough space to do everything that not only that you want to do, that it looks like you can do. And so that's something that you and us may want to look at in the future as to a different venue from what you have now. I'm not suggesting you move, but right now it's a space problem for you, and we understand that. So y'all are doing a great job. Keep it up, and we look forward to seeing more of you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you
for
very
your
much.
time.
All right, super. Okay, now, see, number 5 is FY 24-25 meeting schedule adjustments here. Don't see anything in the packet here as far as that.
No, sir, this one's just a discussion item, if you
Discussion
will.
item? Oh, okay.
But if you wouldn't mind, sir, before we move on to that, just a little perspective from the staff on the Summer Latino Festival. Christina and Mildred came to us with an idea, and it was probably, 6 months before the event? So I wouldn't say it was a short fuse, but it was a medium fuse. And they said, we really have a great idea, we're committed to doing this. And a lot of the support that we offered was just kind of in kind, providing advice. And I know that Teresa assisted with social media. We put some money into promotions. And of course, our friends with Recreation Department assisted with the facilities and things of that nature. This is part of our event incubation process, and this is one that went from 0 to 1,000 just in one swoop. And so the point here is that with a little bit of investment, with a little bit of in-kind support, we're able to make some really great things happen. But that only happens when we have good partners to work with. Not going to mention any names, but not all of our events that we promote are as collaborative. But this is a perfect example, as well as the Pacific Arts Festival. When you can get collaboration between the TDA staff and the coordinators of these events, they can take off very, very quickly. So, and they're also very meaningful events for the community, because it's about celebrating culture, it's about education, it's about good food. And by the way, I'm going to recommend at the next meeting that we set up a quality control subcommittee, for the food trucks when we go to the Latin Festival. But
Food tasters, is that what you're asking for?
yes, quality control, okay? We have to make sure. But I think Mr. Jackson had a great time there. Even though there were 7,500 people, it wasn't uncomfortable. Everybody was having a great time. There's lots of things to see and to do. Okay, let's move on. So real quickly on this, we've talked about it individually in your subcommittees, but I wanted to have just a quick conversation about some adjustments that we would like to see recommend to the meeting calendar for the rest of this calendar year, but the first half of the fiscal 25 budget year, okay? We do the meeting calendar by the calendar year, and then, of course, everything else we do by budget year, so it's a little bit complicated. To just kind of retread some ground here, as you recall, every other month we have a regular meeting, which is what this is. We come in here, we're on camera, we make decisions, and we conduct the TDA's business. And then in between, we conduct subcommittee meetings for both the promotions fund as well as the tourism-related fund. And if you count up all the meetings on that screen there, there's 9 of them. And as a staff the size that we have, meaning that Alexis is the only full-time employee, that becomes a little bit cumbersome from a staff workload perspective. It's worked very, very well for us up to this point, but I think we're really to a point where we may want to consider a different approach, and could certainly use that from a workload consideration. So here's what we would recommend. Of course, the regular meetings would remain the same. That's not going to change. But instead of having 2 subcommittee meetings, we would end up having 1 workshop where all of the directors would come together at the same time. That meeting would not be televised, but we also wouldn't be really conducting business there. We would be doing our work, essentially, having discussions like we do in our subcommittees that lead up to action that occurs on television in a transparent way in front of the public. So that being the case, it would really condense the amount of meetings from 9 to 6. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it really does mean a lot to us. And more than that, I think it's important that we all be on the same page, getting the same information at the same time, hearing the same discussion before we come in here and are actually making decisions. So not looking for a vote today, just maybe consensus from the whole group. We had consensus individually from the subcommittees, and if you see fit, we will put this on the July meeting to officially amend the schedule so that we can set the specific dates for those workshops and hopefully begin moving forward with that in August.
Mr. Chairman, can I say one thing?
Yes, please.
Anthony and I have talked about this, and I fully concur with his decision and your decision. I understand your individual meetings, but I want to make one thing clear. It's kind of mirrored after what the council does now. Their first meeting is a workshop meeting. It's an A and B. Yours may be an A and B, it may be at the transit center or whatever, but the clerk will give public notice for that. So anyone who wants to come will have the opportunity to come and to view whatever goes on. It just won't be on G10 or on Facebook. It will be, however, designated, just like, again, the council meeting, it will be a regular TDA meeting. Why do I say that, and why is that important? Because I know how you do business. There's always hey, we got to get this money appropriated. We got to do this adjustment. We can't wait to the next meeting, so you need to have that authority. You may very well take action at those meetings. That won't be the intent. The intent is to do planning and doing at the ones that are in black here instead of red there. But again, we want to give you the leeway so that you can do that, because these things come up without a lot of notice, and we want to make sure you have that kind of flexibility. So again, if you follow the council, I know at least 2 of you on there follow the council pretty closely, you know how we do the workshop meetings, which are regular workshop meetings, and you take action. You approve consent items and sometimes non-consent items. But again, we want to give you that flexibility if you move forward with this, and I know Anthony will put this on your agenda in July to actually approve it. Thank you, sir.
Let me make sure I understand what I just heard. At these meetings, we can take action.
Yes, sir. They will be regular TDA meetings, workshop meetings.
Okay.
But you will be able to take action if need to be. That,
Right.
Again, there are time-sensitive things that I think you need that flexibility.
We've run into that 2 or 3 times this year already.
Yes, sir.
That would, however, not be the primary intent.
I understand.
So, the other thing about it too is we would reserve the right to cancel any of those workshop meetings if they are no longer necessary. We would consult with the chairman and he would make that decision.
Anybody else? Okay. So I think we're good with that, to try that out for the next 6 months, you say?
Okay.
Basically. Yeah.
Sounds great. Thank you very much.
All right. Good. Okay, so we've got our tourism-related report inside the agenda, and now we're going to have a promotions committee report, our hotelier, okay.
Good afternoon. I'll be delivering the promotions and marketing committee report today because Teresa's in Greece.
Oh.
She is having a fun
I
time.
wonder where she was.
I know, lucky
How
guy.
unfortunate.
I know. So up on the screen is the latest report from Visit NC. It's their Fast Facts sheet. We can email this to you out upon request because this is obviously really small, but we wanted to bring to your attention the pertinent information off of this report. So 6.9% total visitor spending increase since 2022. 97.6 million in visitor spending per day with an upward trajectory in all areas to date. So we're looking really good in tourism in North Carolina. Our state tourism office and their agency has successfully positioned us as the 5th most visited state in the U.S., which is 1 spot higher than previous years. We had 3 events since the last TDA meeting. Irreverent Warriors was held on April 13th. They had 338 attendees, which was 138 increase from 2023. 50% of those hikers were new to the event. 30% of the new hikers heard the ad on the radio, which is something that Teresa put together and we were able to provide. And all attendees registered due to the marketing that was done. So we did billboards, radio, and social media. Engaged Onslow Expo did amazing this year. That was held on April 14th. They had 194 attendees. 8 vendors reported day of sales and booking. 5 of those bookings are happening 6 or more months from the expo date. 53 brides reported expecting overnight stays. So that's going to be great for our hoteliers. The average bride spends between $10,000 and $15,000 on wedding needs here in Jacksonville. And New Bern has stopped their expo, which means next year we'll hopefully have even more attendees. So we're pretty excited about that. We had our Jamboree this year and our first Battle of the Bands event. Recreation and Parks did an amazing job at setting this up. It was a lot of hard work. We had 18 food trucks, 62 vendors. We had activities such as the swings, we had a train, rock climbing, hula hoop contest, and we had the Breakfast Club, which was the first time they had a tribute band come to the Jamboree. It was awesome. Everybody loves 80s music, so that was amazing, in my opinion. 5 bands competed in Battle of the Bands. We had great audience interaction. The judges had a fantastic time. We had a $5,000 sponsorship by Dodge dealership, which allowed us to award 3 of the winning bands. So they were pretty excited about that. We sent out our first e-newsletter on May 1st. It was a very successful newsletter. We highlighted all of the events coming through and seasonal activities that we would like visitors to see. We had a 39.7 open rate, which is 7% over the national average. We had an 11.4 click rate, which means that they actually went into the email and clicked through the links and went to our website, which is 10% over the national average. And we had a 0.2 bounce rate, which is 8% less than the national average. So only 2 emails out of all of them bounced, which is really great. We had 3 photo shoots through Visit NC. They were the International Food Trail. So the first one was Polo's Tete. You'll have to bear with me on pronunciation. But these are very vibrant, wonderful pictures that we're going to be able to use in pretty much any of our marketing when it comes to International Food Trail. We really need these assets. We did Palateria Dea ice cream shop. And the West Indian Kitchen. We got a really good shot of the owners here. They're amazing people, have a great story behind them. So we plan on utilizing these assets to really tell those stories and boost that. And we're gonna have more photo shoots to come. So this year we're gonna be doing more of the food, and then as well as nature and blueways and things of that, to build our marketing assets up. We had our first military reunion program come through to us, which I'm really excited about. This is the first one we actually got to host. It was 3D Force Recon. They stayed at the Holiday Inn Express. There were 64 attendees. We organized the Lejeune Memorial Gardens tour and provided the transportation there and back. And we also provided them with gift bags. They had nothing but good things to say about our hospitality, not only from the TDA and what we had to offer, but also through the hoteliers and the community in general. So they were really happy to be here. And then I'm going to hand it over to Susan. She's going to be talking about our kayak dispensers and the Ospreys home opener game.
My turn. Good afternoon. So we, as you know, you've supported us on these kayak units. I think I reported out on the last meeting, but we're really excited to come back to you and let you know it's been a phenomenal success. We got report outs for the month of April, and we had over 100 rentals just for the month of April. And so we're excited about what May and June, and obviously the actual beautiful months that we have to offer is going to provide for us. Year to date, starting in January, we had the 226, and Northeast Creek is our most popular. We had 55 rentals for the month of April, and I think it was like 26 for the landing and 22 for the marina. So we're excited. I did reach out to them and speak with them yesterday, as a matter of fact. He said already we're in the top 25 locations of the country that they provide these to.
In the country?
Yeah, well, they operate, a lot of them are in Michigan to Florida, so a lot of it's on the mid to south region. They're not a whole lot on the western coast, but a lot in Michigan, a lot in Florida, and then they've been branching out on the East Coast, and so far we're in top 25 just based off of these numbers that we got in May. So we spoke with them yesterday about the possibilities of adding, because my question was we have the option of doing stand-up paddle boards. So if you want to go and do a stand-up paddleboard, so I'll get Anthony some of that information, but I just want to report out that they've been extremely well-received, and I'm thrilled to see what the month of May and June and the coming months will provide for us. So far, we're excited to be able to also tag team with the trail and Blueway enhancements that are going to come, because that's going to do nothing but collaborate. And I will say, in speaking with the company yesterday, he asked, are you partnered with, and I said that tourism development. He said, overwhelmingly, the best success is when those partnerships are in place and you can work off of each other to help with that marketing and promotions and to really let your communities know. So Susan Dozier, who's coming up next, was, she put me in contact with an article, and, there's been some really nice collaborative efforts to get the word out about these units. So it's going well.
Are we going to have to do a budget modification to account for this income?
We kept the cost reasonable, so I'm not going to say there's a whole lot of income coming, but we will get I believe it's like a yearly revenue cut back to us.
We still have to clarify where that revenue is going first,
Mm-hmm.
but yes. There you go.
We have ideas.
And then if you don't already know, the biggest thing for us this upcoming weekend is the Ospreys opener. You all have been instrumental in some of those improvements over there. If you have not been by or you're waiting until Saturday to see it, the field looks amazing. The ball field amenities look great. We have finished up lots of projects. So the bleachers are in, they're beautiful. The patio area that got expanded for their concession area has been poured. But the dugouts have been extended. Audio has been installed. Batting cages have also been installed. So they have everything they need to have a phenomenal season, and we're here to support them in all their efforts. So Saturday is our opening day at 7 p.m. at Jack Amyette, obviously. And then you can turn around and go on Sunday, too, because they have a 5 o'clock game on Sunday. So they're going to be busy. We have some great lineup. Promotions has been phenomenal with all of everybody's efforts in getting the word out. And they have a great lineup of promotions. I don't know if you've seen it, but every game that they have some really fun stuff like, halfway to Christmas and, all of the halfway to Halloween. I mean, they've done a really good job with marketing their own promotion. So they've been great partners, and the ball field looks amazing. So I think from a city standpoint, I couldn't be more proud to be here on Saturday and just let our community enjoy it. So stay tuned. I'm sure you'll hear more on that front. But other than that, appreciate your support on the Jamboree. She mentioned that it was a great day for us, and we're looking forward to all the new ones, all the next ones. Anything else? Any questions for me? I'm going to pass it on.
I'm going to piggyback a little bit on what you said. First of all, I believe that we will have the best field in the league. I've been to 2 or 3 of the others. There's no comparison.
I've heard the same.
Number one. Number two, the team itself is so pleased with what the city has done. The coach is ecstatic. Y'all did a great job on the batting cage. He's very excited about that, and I know you have plans maybe for a second one next year. And the owner, the owner's kind of phenomenal. I stopped by the other day because the coach had invited me out, and the owner and his wife were out in center field taking care of banners. Nobody else, the owner and his wife. And, they're all in. And they just had so much kind words to say about the city and what they've done. And they've been in communication with other owners of other teams. And they're getting feedback from those owners saying, well, how did you do that? We can't get anything out of our folks. So hats off to the city, hats off to this board, and it's going to be a phenomenal season. The people I talk to, they can't wait, and it's going to be sensational. But what we have done as a community to make this happen and make this be a successful is just amazing, and we should all be proud of that.
I appreciate those kind words, Mr. Hagan. I'll just say that we've gotten the feedback also on the ball field, and that's what those players want to play on. So we're going to hear hopefully more of that. Like, I want to go play in Jacksonville, if you've seen that field. But it has been a true teamwork effort. There's not a department in this city that has not worked on this project. I mean, obviously with your support, but we've had facilities maintenance, we've had our engineering folks, we've had our parks folks, obviously, but there's not been a department. So it's been a really, really a great work of teamwork. And so we don't do it alone, and you can't make great things happen by yourself. So none of us worked on a silo on this project, and I think all of us are to be commended because it really is going to be a great thing for the community. So, good comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm going to pass it
to the
from-
citizens.
Oh, yes, sir.
Because they housed a lot, these young folks. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, and the citizens, absolutely, because they're supporting these kids, and it's all a great community effort.
That's exactly the point I was going to make. This is the second time, Christine and Mildred, it's just such a reflection of this community. I mean, all the way around.
The hospitality that
Just
we just spoke of, yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
If we could, let's talk about one other thing that I think that we should be proud of with regard to baseball. The owners are the hardest working owners probably in any baseball league anywhere. They are tireless, and they were committed to making it happen. But what they are also committing to doing are being good partners within the community. I went out to the field to take pictures last week, and when I stopped by, I was like, oh, the team's out practicing. It wasn't the team out practicing. It was the team out playing with, I can't remember what grade it was, but there was probably 75 or 100 students from Clyde Irwin out there. And they were pitching and catching and doing, all kinds of fun games with those students. And then once they were done, they were going to go and have lunch with them. And the coach came up to me and he said, sorry, we didn't really reserve this time, but we wanted to have the time with the kids. And it's like, hey, this is well worth any time that you want to take on the field. But he said that, one of the ways that they're measuring the performance of their players is by what they're giving back to the community and being role models for those students, as well as others throughout the community. He was saying that, going 3 for 4 in a game is great, but if you're not making an impact on somebody while you're doing it, then it's not a success. So, those are his words. Those aren't my words. It is more than just hot dogs, beer, and baseball. It's really community building as well. So, thank you.
And we've partnered with them for our summer camps too, some of our baseball. So again, adding on to that, and I'll just say it was funny because we went to go look for the owner the same day with the Clyde Irwin, and he was the mascot. So he was out there with the kids. So you're talking about hard working. He really is, because it was warm this week. And so, that just shows their level of dedication, because he was under the suit, so entertaining the kids. So
Bless him.
Sweat on your island.
yeah, no.
They're
I'm sure they take volunteers if
They're
anybody would
taking
like.
applications if anyone's interested in being the mascot.
It was him. So I'm going to pass it off to another great Susan over here. From one Susan to another, she's going to talk to you about all of the great PR efforts. And I will.
Thank you so much, Susan Baptist. It's interesting. I wanted to start out by saying one of the big trends in marketing and communications, I read a national email last week, is partnerships. And I think this is a good example, this whole meeting, of all those partnerships happening. So I wanted to let you know, we had our kayak rental kiosk in the Great Trails State Coalition newsletter this month. That is the organization that brought you the Year of the Trail wildly successful. This was in their, what I would call their smaller group of actually people who provide trails. These were trail advocates, parks and rec groups, tourism groups. And so Lisa and her team on the communications for the city put together this fabulous video, and they linked to this video, and it was a direct link into their email blast. So kudos there. And the Carolina Country Story that Susan told you about will be airing soon. Also, we had a really cool thing to happen. This is a big win for all of us. Visit NC did a program with their influencers, just like we do programs with our influencers. And they asked NC Tripping, Christina Riley, one of our big fans. We've been working with her ever since we started inviting people to our destination. And they asked her on their dime to come and photograph 3 coastal food destinations. Well, she picked, of her own volition, our International Food Trail in Jacksonville. And these are just a few of the types of places that she highlighted. She put Polo's Tete, West Indian Kitchen, and Filipino cuisine. She got so many questions and pieces of feedback on Filipino cuisine. I've told you, lumpia, if we had a city food, it would be lumpia. It's incredible the feedback she got when she launched her lumpia reels. But anyway, we've had about 160,000 plays off those reels to date. And so that's something I'm really happy about. She chose us, and Visit NC footed the bill. So yay, team. With Talks'll Talk, the next slide, we had about 5,600 or a little bit over that plays off of their reels. They are a local influencer in our area. They cover Topsail, North Topsail Beach, our area, and all of Onslow County and a little bit beyond. I told them, I said, go hit what you want to hit on the International Food Trail. We gave them a budget. They picked the corn dogs at Paris Banh Mi. I don't know if you've been there, but there's been a lot of viral videos about corn dogs. And so she did a video of that with her son, did some great work with Paris Banh Mi, and also El Cerro Tacos. So kudos to her for her work. If you don't follow her, please do. The Carolina Museum of the Marine had their groundbreaking. I had worked extensively with Ashley and their team to help them get their fact sheet ready to go. We had worked with a few media outside of the area. We'll get a lot more traction with the media part when it's the actual groundbreaking. I'm sorry, the actual opening of the museum. But a lot of people have a heads up and there's strong media interest. We also had guests, you can see here, we had one of the PR pros from the Visit North Carolina PR team, Suzanne Brown. We had Kathy Prickett, who's the editor of their news link. Both of them came for a deep dive into Jacksonville. You see them here at the Freedom Fountain. After the groundbreaking, both of them were very moved by our groundbreaking, and I think felt the weight of what's coming and how important it is to our community. We had a wonderful tour of Lejeune Memorial Gardens. They visited our kayak rental kiosk, and we also hit Milk Road Coffee. That was at Suzanne's request. She'd heard so much about it. And then we had lunch at Aji Ichiban. One of the important things to know about this visit is that we also had another local influencer, the White Party of Five, who joined us. Again, just getting the awareness of our area in with our local people so that they know what kinds of things we're offering. And then it gave both Teresa and Lexi on our team a chance to build those strong relationships with part of that great team. Next slide. We are also working on a new partnership. It's in play right now with Heidi Bellato. You may remember that Heidi was the force that we partnered with to work on our international food trail, identify the right restaurants, and make our first phase 1 and phase 2 nominations. And then she did the writing and the photography for the trail. She's coming back and doing, she came back last week, and she's doing a deeper dive to give us background on some of the people behind our food trail. And then she's also doing some non-food trail restaurants as well. There's nobody I love working with better on food stuff. And so you'll be seeing posts from her on her blog, things that we'll be playing back, collaboration on social, and some great boosts to our content and our website then. So as I wrap up today, I wanted to say I'm still working with you next month, but this will be my last tourism meeting with you. When I started in 2018, I think our first introduction may have been in 2017, but I never envisioned some of the fun things that we've had a chance to work on together. So thank you, and just lots of gratitude for the opportunity to work with you and do some of these super cool things. Thanks.
Thank you, Susan. Yes,
Thank you
so much. It's been a big help. I think it's moved us right along, and appreciate everything you've done, and look forward to maybe something a little later. Okay.
It's been a remarkable experience, Susan. So happy that we had the opportunity to work with you.
Thank you.
All right, then. So that brings us to our director comments. I guess anybody got any comments? Just great meeting, great story. So,
Mr. Chairman, one more item, if you don't mind, before we wrap up here. But Alexis, would you mind coming up to the podium? We're going to embarrass her a little bit about a recent accomplishment. The main reason is because I can't remember exactly what it's called. But Alexis has spent months working on a digital marketing certification. Mm-hmm. And she recently passed the test and was approved for that certification. So tell us a little bit tell us actually what it is, and then what you learned, if you don't mind.
So it was the Digital Marketing Institute. I went through social media, email marketing, just general marketing, all of the rules and regulation on email marketing. It was a 60-hour class, and the exam was 120 questions. But I passed.
She was stressing so bad the first time.
Well, because if you didn't pass the first time, it cost money the second time. So I really didn't
easily passed, though.
Yeah, but I did, and it was so educational, and it helped me just gain so much knowledge on really what I need to be doing, not only for making sure that we're following federal regulations when we start sending out these newsletters and doing the marketing portions of it, but how we can improve on social media. Stephanie is doing an amazing job right now on social media, but we're going to start working together to kind of revamp that and get it even more. She actually did I'm going to brag on her for a minute real quick, but she did a post for the Pacific Arts Festival and it got over 200 views, which is amazing for us. We don't usually typically get that many. But anywho, it taught me so much information that I think is going to be implemented throughout, my time here. And I'm very thankful that you guys gave me the opportunity to be able to take that class and learn it, and so that I can apply it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, with that, I think it's
It's time.
time to adjourn. We'll have it be adjourned.
So moved.
Second.